Om Sah Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. We study the topic, reality that persists.
Reality that persists. These illustrations serve as pointers to conceive the magnitude and magnificence of the inconceivable Brahman. Brahman is the reality that persists. That which existed in the past exists in the present and will exist in the future. And what exists in the present, not in the past or future, is not real. Like the states of the waking, dream, and deep sleep that a human being goes through. These three states can claim a relative reality only as long as each state exists and not before or after. The ignorance of reality has released a chemistry of thoughts and desires which go to form the illusory worlds. No human being realizes he has lost cognizance of the reality and lives through these false worlds all his life. In the three states of consciousness, you assume the personalities of the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, which are not real. The reality that persists in these states and beyond is the self within. The self is the pure consciousness which appears as conditioned consciousness in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states. When one sheds the conditioning by eliminating all desires and thoughts, one reaches the unconditioned state, known in Sanskrit as Turiya. Turiya literally means fourth. It is the absolute state of reality. You belong to the fourth state. You are the Supreme Self, the unconditioned consciousness, Brahman, God.
Consciousness.
The consciousness. The consciousness is the substratum of the microcosm and the macrocosm. When the consciousness functions through the gross body, it takes the form of the waker, Vishwa in Sanskrit. Through the subtle body as the dreamer, Tejasa, and through the causal body as the deep sleeper, Prajna. Thus, the one consciousness identifying with the three bodies manifests as the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, Vishwa Tejasa Prajna, which constitutes the microcosm. The consciousness functioning through the aggregate of all gross bodies expresses as the cosmic waker, Virat. Functioning through the aggregate of all subtle bodies expresses as the cosmic dreamer, Hiranyagarbha. And through the aggregate of all causal bodies as the cosmic deep sleeper, Ishvara. The combination of the three cosmic expressions, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara, is the macrocosm. The microcosm and macrocosm together constitute the world. The consciousness supporting the microcosm and macrocosm is the supreme reality. While the world comprising the microcosm and macrocosm is just an illusory projection upon the reality. You have lost identification with the consciousness, the immaculate self within, and become the conditioned conscious individual. The conditioned individualistic state that you have assumed now is unable to visualize, conceptualize the magnitude of the supreme consciousness that you are. Hence, to appreciate and identify with the consciousness, you must decondition yourself, free yourself of all desires. The integrated paths of action, devotion, and knowledge help you eliminate your desires to develop concentration and meditation. And through sustained meditation, you reach the state of Turiya, self-realization, God realization. In that state, you merge with the pure consciousness. You cognize the supreme reality, become one with God.
Reality that persists. The reality that we saw is Purnam, complete, full, absolute. That is the Purnam we saw. And what is the Purnam? It is the only reality. In fact, we should simply say reality, that's all. There is no need even to say only reality. And what is real? That which didn't exist before, that exists now, that is not going to exist later, is unreal. Again, what is the definition of reality? To understand the definition of reality, well, let us understand what is unreal. That which didn't exist in the past, that which exists now, that which will not exist in the future is unreal. What is the definition of reality? That which existed at all periods of time is real. That which exists in a temporary period of time is unreal. Temporary means not in the past, not in the future. What is that reality? Invariably, whatever the senses perceive, whatever the instruments can contact, know, understand, in layperson's terms, they call it as real. Again, I repeat, in layperson's term, what they call as real is that which can be perceived or felt or understood, meaning that which can be cognized through any of the instruments is real. That's what a layperson understands. Vedanta comes and says that cannot be the definition of reality. Why that cannot be the definition of reality? Because the instrument themselves are changing. When the instrument themselves are changing, and the knowledge that the instrument gives cannot be an absolute knowledge. Since the instrument themselves are changing, whatsoever you understand through the instrument, you cannot give it a reality to it. Invariably, the mind gives it a reality. When we say the mind means the combined body, mind, intellect gives it a reality. Reason being, we do not know any other pramanam distinct and different from the instruments. Since we don't have any other authority other than the instruments, we are bound to go by what the instruments tell us. Vedanta, the Shastra, which comes as a distinct authority, the authority that is not bound by the body, mind, and intellect. What is Vedanta? The Shastra. And that's the Shastra, we have seen it as a Pramanam. And what is the Pramanam of the Shastra? It is not bound by the limitations of the instruments, meaning that which the instruments cannot talk about, cannot say, the Shastras reveal. And that Shastra says reality means that which exists at all periods of time. So first, to understand the difference between real and unreal, we got to understand the instrument through which we are claiming something as real or unreal. So whatsoever we see it as real is because of the instruments that you are using. And the instruments themselves are changing. Since the instruments themselves are changing, all knowledges that the instrument gives necessarily change. To put it very simply, you observe yourself for an hour. You observe yourself for 1 hour. How many times the mind changes? How many times the emotions changes? Imagine, then multiply it in the day, then multiply it in the year, then multiply it in your lifetime. What is happening? You can see an absolute chaos inside. It's absolutely chaotic inside. Thank God you don't see it. You are all right. And don't see it, please. Don't see it also. Yeah. And if you start seeing it, and if anything happens to you, don't call Vedanta. Yeah. It's your problem. It's your responsibility. You're able to follow? Look at the chaos in the person. Just in 1 hour, how many changes? See, even in a classroom like this, or 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, this is the classroom. Even in this classroom of 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, how many times the mind changes? I'm not talking about lack of concentration. Please understand. I'm not talking about mind slipping into mind going into the other things. Now the mind going to the other things is also there. That is another change. First change is in terms of the emotions. How many emotions you go through in 1 hour, even in a classroom like this? Not the same. You'll start very motivated. 5 minutes, 7 minutes down the line, motivation, inspiration goes out, dullness sets in, the mind slips into somewhere else, and then suddenly one or two words you will hear, it comes, and then the mind slips. What is the fluctuations of emotions that happens? Change. Second is the thoughts themselves, concentration. You want to concentrate, you want to focus, And it is not. It doesn't happen. The thoughts simply keeps slipping away. Where you need a different pramanam like Shastra is, on what basis are you saying, on what basis are you calling something as real, permanent, when all this is constantly, changing, moving. To understand the changeless, you need to understand the changes first. Only if you understand the changes, only if you understand the unreal, the reality will make a meaning. For the reality to make a meaning, you have to understand the unreal. As long as you are seeing your experiences as real, you cannot come to this reality. Why? Because there cannot be two realities. Or God becomes unreal. God becomes unreal. Why? What you are experiencing is real. And you can't have different realities at different points in time. In the class, Brahman becomes real. After the class, worry and anxieties become real. You can't have shifting realities like that. Therefore, Vedanta as an independent pramanam, Vedanta as an independent authority. When we say independent authority, means the authority that is not bound by, the authority that is not dependent by the body, the mind, the intellect, defines what reality is. They define what that reality is. On what authority they define, it's a distinct authority. That's why it's called pramanam. Pramanam means authority. So, even if you are alert enough, you can see the changes and you will not get and you will not get affected by any of these changes. Even to see the world that is constantly changing, you need Vedanta to come and say that. We need Vedanta to come and say that. Why? Because the instruments give us a conviction. What is the conviction? What is the conviction that the instrument gives you? What you are experiencing is real. Full stop. No discussion about that. What I am experiencing is real. Stop. Now what? How do I handle it? How do I manage it? How do I keep some and how do I get rid of some? How can you keep some and how can you get rid of some? Because the very nature of change means both. And what is the way to manage it? What is the way to handle it? Vedanta says, you can say, you have nothing to do with it. You can say that. That you can say. I have nothing to do with this, you can say. It means you are seeing something distinct and different from this. What is that distinct and different? Reality that persists. That's where this comes. Reality that persists. What is the reality that persists? The definition. That which existed in the past, that which exists now, that which will exist in the future, the same. Something can exist in the past, present, and future, constantly evolving and changing. That which remains the same in the past, in the present, and the future is real. You can't use your senses to verify this. Please understand. You can't use your senses to verify this. You can't use your mind, the emotions to verify this. You can't use buddhi, the intellect to verify this. Where we have a difficulty is, since none of these instruments can verify it, we say it doesn't exist. For the fallacy is, for something to exist, instrument must be able to contact. What is the reality? The reality is that which is beyond all this. So, first we understand what is unreal. Having understood what is unreal, we move on to what is real. So, first thing that we do is we understand what is unreal. We understand what is unreal. That which exists in the present. The anger that didn't exist in the past, the anger that is existing now, and the anger that will not be there 30 minutes later is unreal. The love that you had yesterday is not there today. What is that love? That love is what is that love? Vasanti. Unreal. Unreal. Oh, yesterday I loved. Today also I should love. Tomorrow also I should continue to love. At least can you keep the body the same? The body that you had 5 years back is not the body that you have now, is not the body that you'll have 5 years later. It's not it changes once in 5 years or 10 years. It is changing all the time. It is changing all the time. Isn't it? Anything that is changing, you identify with. Anything that changes, you identify with the changes. Changes means fluctuations. You identify with the changes, you will fluctuate. Why are we going through these moods, sir? Why are we going through these ups and downs? Because you have identified with the fluctuations. By nature, they fluctuate. By nature, they fluctuate. So what is unreal? That which is fluctuating, that which is changing, that which didn't have one, that which has a temporary existence is unreal. Please understand, the problem is not that which is changing. The problem is, out of ignorance, that which is changing, you put a condition that it should not change. The problem comes there. The problem is your condition is the problem. The changes is not the problem. Because whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you understand it or not, it's going to happen. Oh, I don't accept me getting old. It's not waiting for it doesn't wait for your acceptance. It is oh, okay. Kolattur is not accepting getting old. Therefore, what? He is exempted from getting old. Why? Because I don't accept it. He says, who cares? It keeps happening. It keeps happening. Who cares? It keeps happening. So each and everything all falls under the same principle. Everything falls under the same principle. Now, this falling under the same principle, some affects you, some doesn't affect you. Some affects you because temporarily you don't want it. Some doesn't affect you because temporarily you want it. So that which you want, if it happens, you say, I am not affected. If that which happens, which you do not want, you get affected. And changes, this is the law of life. Srikant. changes don't happen after consulting you. It will not come and ask you, can we have a meeting? Yeah, shall we have a meeting first? Can we sit and discuss and then decide how things should change? That luxury, that fact doesn't exist because changes happens without consulting you. It means what you have to do, you have only one choice. What? Accept it. When you accept the change, you understand it as unreal. What is accepting the change? Understanding it as unreal means even this shall pass away. What is understanding the change as unreal? Even this shall pass away. The best of moments passes away. The worst of moments passes away. No, no, sir, you are teaching wrongly. The best of moments passes away very fast. The worst of moments doesn't move at all. Why are you saying it passes away? Because the best moments passes quickly. The worst moment is not moving at all. It's like so stationary it is. You are so caught up in that not knowing what to do. So quick moments move, happy moments move very fast, painful moments don't move at all, but nevertheless, even this shall pass away. Now, the suffering is because the changes happens irrespective of consulting you. Where comes the conflict now? Carefully follow. There is a demand from you. There is a demand from you. First thing, nobody bothers about your demand. You can keep demanding. Nobody is bothered about it. If at all somebody is bothering about your demand, it means what? There's a quid pro quo that is happening. Yeah, you give something, that person gives something back. That's all. Otherwise, no being on this earth is bothered about you. Why? Because everybody is so preoccupied fulfilling their demands. Where do they have time for another? Oh, does that mean people are all very selfish and bad, sir? But there are unselfish people, no. Here is this person who has put 5,000 crores to run a cancer hospital. Here is this person who have put 500 crores to open a autism hospital. What is all that then? People are not that bad as Vedanta says that. Maybe Vedantic people may be bad, but people in the world are not that bad. Even this shall pass away. Even this shall pass away. You put a demand and the world sometimes goes along with it, sometimes will do exactly the opposite. In fact, world is not trying to fulfill your demands or trying to frustrate you. That's the nature of the world. Incidentally, you are the one who's getting joy or sorrow. You are the one who's getting into this joy or sorrow. It means what you should do. Stability means, if you want stability means, what you should do. What is stability? Digging the roots and staying put is stable. What is opposite of stability? Constant moving. As long as you are involved in that which is constantly moving, there cannot be a stability. And then comes the deeper angle. What is the deeper angle? All the movements, all the changes must be supported by that which is unchanging. all that changes is supported by that which is unchanging. Very simple example. The moving wheel is supported by the unmoving axle. The moving wheel is supported by the unmoving axle. What is that unmoving axle that is supporting the movement? If you can identify with that axle, the movement becomes leela, sport, fun. Those who have identified with the axle and looked at life, for them, life is a play. Leela. Leela means play. Play means what? Winning or losing doesn't matter. That is play. Winning or losing doesn't matter. The sheer enjoyment is, the game is the enjoyment. Not winning or losing. The moment winning or losing becomes a priority, then you have lost it again. So there is the unmoving axle that is supporting the moving wheel. Those who identify with the axle, movement becomes a play. For those who ignore the axle and identify with the wheel, will be affected by the wheel. They will be affected by it. What is the wheel? The samsara chakra. That's why it is called as samsara chakra. The wheel. You will be crushed by the wheel. Depending on the instruments and looking at everything through the authority of the instruments is the first lesson we learn in Vedanta. Not to look at everything through the authority of the instruments. If you learn this lesson, all that they speak becomes meaningful. If you don't accept this lesson or understand this lesson, whatever they say becomes, whatever Vedanta says looks like weird, absurd, not working, impractical, etc. Simple example is this. Why good people suffer, sir? Corrupt people are all very happy. And all the dharmic people are suffering. Why? Because I am not happy, number one. Shankar, you are happy, I know. I am not happy. I am dharmic also. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm a righteous person. Obviously, the person is not, obviously that person is not dharmic. Not adharma, sir. Corruption. And good persons are suffering and bad persons are flourishing. What you should do in order to flourish? Become bad. Become bad. Correct? This conclusion, on what authority you come to this conclusion? On what authority you come to conclusion? You come to this conclusion based on the authority of your eyes. And your eyes are not the authority. Therefore, what you do? You refuse to take it for granted. What the eyes see, you refuse to take it for granted. That's how you grow. I heard that person saying, sir. I heard that person say. So many things you are hearing. Yeah. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Nothing is happening, isn't it? Nothing is happening. Tattvamasi. Shvetaketu na replace it with your name. Shvetaketu is the father gave it to Dala Karuni, gave it to the son. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Now, when you are hearing it, what you should do? Tattvamasi Anshu, you have to hear. You should not say Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Clear? You have to hear Tattvamasi Sailesh. You have to hear Tattvamasi Ram Subramaniam. We can't keep saying like everybody's name Suline. So we say Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. You are hearing that also. Nothing is happening. And then you hear something else. What? Just a little, you have to be a little bit careful with. I'm scared to say any name in this classroom, because afterwards I'll get a message. Sir, maybe something wrong I did. Otherwise, why will you mention my name? Yeah, randomly I'm saying some name. Now I have to sit and explain that for 2 classes now. Yeah. So I'll give my name only because I will not SMS myself. No. So I will give my. I will not ask myself. So some name. What is it? Oh, why are you? Tattvamasi Vedanta Allah, he is talking, but still don't trust him. Some produces a reaction, some doesn't produce any reaction. Based on what? Some produces a reaction, some doesn't produce any reaction at all. Most of the things you don't hear only in the first place. Forget about producing a reaction. You don't even hear. Why? That which drives the instruments to see something specific. It drives the instruments to see something specific. It drives the instruments to hear something specific. It drives the instruments to feel something specific. What is it? The pleasant and the unpleasant. The raga and the dvesha. Everything seen through that spectrum, what is missed? How it keeps changing is missed. When you see it through that raga dvesha, what is it that you miss? You miss the reality. What is the reality? It is all the time changing. Okay, now you understand all this are changing. Having understood all this is changing, then a question comes. What is that? Is there anything beyond the change? And that question will give you sleepless nights. And that question will drive, and that question will give you a thirst. That question will drive you to look for it. That drive, that motivation, that inspiration is called mumukshatva. That motivation, that drive is called mumukshatva. Those who understood that mumukshatva, those who gone through that mumukshatva knew something. And they defined all that you see is unreal. The reality is beyond this. And what is that? That which existed in the past, that which exists in the future, that will exist in the present, and which will continue to exist in the future, the same. Don't forget the same. The same is called real. Not only they say that, and they come to the magnificent conclusion. What is that conclusion? You are that. They don't say there is that reality somewhere existing like that in the same. It's not that. It is that. And then the conclusion is you are that. and to make us recognize the change and to make us understand the change, some analysis are done. Some vichara is done. Some vibhaga is done. All these are Sanskrit terms. Some analysis. Some inquiries are done. Some analysis is done. And the Shastra does two types of analysis. The two types of analysis. One type of analysis is called Avastatraya Vibhaga. Avastatraya Vibhaga means analyzing the three states of consciousness. That is one state of analysis. Another kind of Vibhaga is Gunatraya Vibhaga. Gunatraya Vibhaga we have covered. Here we are covering the Avastatraya Vibhaga. Vibhaga, okay. Those who have studied Bhagavad Gita and remember, not only studied Bhagavad Gita, remember Bhagavad Gita, you will remember the titles of Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Chapter 3 is called Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga, correct. Chapter 14 is called Gunatraya Vibhaga. Chapter 16 is called Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga. Chapter 17 is called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga. There already, yeah. You all have studied. Vibhaga means analyzing, analysis. Vibhaga means, bhaga means parts. Vibhaga means splitting into proper parts. Yeah. You just can't split it and put it randomly. You have to split it and put it in an order. Vibhaga means an orderly analysis. What is the orderly analysis from the Upanishads here? Mandukya does it. The three states of consciousness. And the 6 words is that Upanishad. In the states of consciousness, the 6 words is that Upanishad. Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. These words comes from that Upanishad. Magnificent Upanishad, which is 2 Upanishads are referred in this lesson. One is Isavasyam, a very small 18 mantras. Of the 18 mantras, 6 mantras are repeated. It means for all practical purposes, you have only 12 mantras in it. So, 6 mantras, they keep repeating it. Mandukya has only 5 mantras. Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. Tongue twister mari irukudhu sir idella. All this is appearing like tongue twisters. Why these words are given? Because any science has technical terms. Science means technical terms. And those technical terms ought to be known. Okay, accountancy is a science. And 2 words they use, credit, debit. Still I get confused. Does credit means outflow or inflow? Debit na inflow. I get confused sometimes. Now, Subramaniam, our company, you are still running your company, no? Subramaniam. Company is blessed because he said no. A company is blessed. Yeah. Company is free from him. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you have to learn these 2 words, debit and credit. You can't change it. You can explain it in any way, but those 2 words, credit and debit, cannot be changed. Technical subject means that. Science means there are technical terms and those technical terms should be learned. And wherever those technical terms must be learned, those words are put here. What are those words that we have to study here? Vishwa Taijasa Prajna, Virat Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. Since we find it difficult to remember, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Okay. This waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, individual working, we are okay, sir. What is this cosmic waker, cosmic dreamer, and cosmic deep sleeper? What is the vibhaga here? The vibhaga here is the subject and the object, the microcosm and the macrocosm. What is the analysis here? The subject and the object, microcosm and macrocosm. That consciousness splits itself into two, as it were. Mandukya says, the consciousness splits itself into two, as it were. The one that splits itself into two, and the two, when they start interacting, becomes many. Just as the one mind splits itself into the dreamer and the dream world. Actually, you can't say dreamer and the dream world. It means the dream subject, the dream object. The one mind splits itself into two. That one mind when it splits itself into two, the same mind is the dreamer, the same mind is the dream sun, S-U-N. The dream sun is, what is the age of the sun? Sun also has an age, Adu kuda temporary. That also has an age, isn't it? I don't know. Okay, let us say 10 billion years. I really do not understand what the 10 billion years and all is. Simply I'll say, sun is 10 billion years. One ray of the mind became the sun, that is 10 billion years. Another, all in the dream, huh? Another ray of the mind became the moon. Another ray of the mind became something else, something else, something else. How the one splits itself into many, as it were. What is that reality? That reality is beyond the three. Since it is beyond the three, it is called as Turiya 4. Please understand, it's not mathematical 4. Turiya, the fourth, doesn't mean mathematical 4. If you understand it as mathematical 4, then what is 5, what is 6, what is 7? So when they say Turiya means, the fourth means that which is the Adhara, that which is the base of the three. Turiya means the base, the Adhara, from which these three comes, using that it exists and merges back. All this we have studied in detail already. All this we have studied in detail already. That consciousness, what is that consciousness? That consciousness is the reality. That consciousness is Purnam. That consciousness is Purnam. That consciousness is the reality. And that consciousness is that which splits itself into two. What is the two? The microcosm and the macrocosm. Microcosm means the individual, the subject. Macrocosm means the object. The individual goes through the three states. When we say here the individual, what we mean is not the waker. The individual goes through the three states. There are three types of individuals. What are the three types of individuals? Waker is one individual. Dreamer is another individual. Deep sleeper is another individual. In the waking state, you will be given a name, Shrikant. Dream state, dream I have to tell you what your name is in the dream. In the deep sleep state, nothing. So, Shrikant is a part of the individual, which is the waker. Dreamer is another part, and then the deep sleeper. And the individual continuously keeps going through these three stages: waking, dream, deep sleep, waking, dream, deep sleep, waking, dream, deep sleep. This individual continuously going through these three stages, constantly going through these changes, is supported by the unchanging. What is that unchanging? Consciousness. And that consciousness is called Brahman. That consciousness is called Purnam. Any word you can use. Atman you can use, Brahman you can use, Purnam you can use, God you can use. Because we are studying thesis on God, we will use the word God. We will use the word God. But all are synonymously we are used. So it is the God that is supporting the waking, the dream, the deep sleep. Supporting doesn't mean an external support. Supporting doesn't mean an external support. What is meant by support here? God itself appears like the waker. God itself appears like the dreamer. God itself appears like the deep sleeper. God is the appearances changes. God is the waker. God is the dreamer. God is the deep sleeper. What is changing? The appearances. What are the appearances? The waker to dreamer to deep sleeper. What is the same? God is. God is. That's where elsewhere, in the other class, we define the isness as God. In everything, there is isness. Isness, you understand, no? Wood is, tree is, table is, ash is. There is this isness in everything. So that isness has a Namarupa form. And what is that Namarupa form? Actually, it is the same. It means the Vishwa Taijasa Prajna is God. The water gives birth like a wave. The water exists like the wave, and the water dissolves back. Where? Ocean is water, the wave is water. Water comes out of water and merges back into water. Since there is only water, you cannot say it is coming out and merging. There is only water. That is the Upanishad. There is only Brahman. Even though there are the six. What are the six? Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. And then the other three. What are the other three? We'll discuss because it's there. No? So we have to study the other three. Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, individual waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, we never have a problem. Then comes the Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. What is this Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara? I'm so tempted to say reference Vedanta treatise, human composition. Read that. I'm so tempted to say. It's there. A microcosm has a corresponding macrocosm. So, yes, when it is in a small form, it is called Vishwa. When all Vishwas put together, they will be called Virat. All Vishwas put together. Vishwa means individual. Now, okay. I don't know. In this classroom. I don't know how many are there in this classroom. Okay. Definitely one waker is there in this classroom. Yeah, definitely one waker. Guaranteed. Srikanth, you are the waker. Huh? All of you thought I'm referring to me. No. I'm not referring to. All the wakers put together is called Virat. All the dreamers put together is called Hiranyagarbha. All the deep sleeper put together is called Ishvara. And there is a lot of grammatical and lot of different things as to how these 6 words are come. And we are not branching off into the discussion at all, because a lot of basic Sanskrit grammar and words are that knowledge is required to understand. But what the concept we are discussing here? What is the concept? Waker is interacting with the waking world. The Vishwa will interact with Virat. The Taijasa will interact with Hiranyagarbha. Prajna will interact with Ishvara. Here comes analysis. Vishwa, Taijasa will have no access to Vishwa. The dreamer will have no access to waker. The dreamer has no access to waker. Can the dreamer understand the waker? The dreamer cannot understand the waker. Can you report anything while you are in deep sleep? Can you say, I am in deep sleep? Or will you say, I had a good sleep? Again, I am in deep sleep. Can you say that? You can never say that, because when you are in deep sleep, you are not there. In fact, you are not there is what is called deep sleep. And the most blissful experience of life is when you are not there. That is deep sleep. What a bliss it is, isn't it? What a bliss it is. Just the temporary absence of you can give so much of bliss. Means permanently, if you are not there, what will happen? Eternal bliss, pure bliss. That's all this Upanishad analysis is. That's all is. That is that reality. Even when you are not present temporarily, what a bliss. நிம்மதியா தூங்கினா போறோம் சார், isn't it? What is that person's demand? All that I want in life is, sir, what? Just have to simply, you are not asking for sleep. You don't understand what you are asking. What is the way by which I can dissolve myself? That dissolution is giving me peace. What is the way by which I can dissolve myself, and in the dissolution lies peace. Nature says, if you do your own inquiry, you will know what the method is. By your own experience, you do the inquiry and you will understand what the method is. What is the method? You do the inquiry. What is inquiry? There is some joy in the waking state. There is some joy in the dream state. And then there is something that is so beautiful in the deep sleep state. That's why the Taittiriya Upanishad analysis of the 5 koshas, the deep sleep state is called Anandamaya kosha. The Taittiriya Upanishad does a different anatomy. All anatomy, it's very simple. Anatomy, physiology, psychology, all of that. Anatomy means the body. Physiology means the prana. Psychology means the mind and intellect. World has done only that. Vedanta goes one step deeper and analyze the 3 states also. Not only is analyzed the 3 states, it found out that which is the adhara of the 3 states. Not only it found out it is the adhara of the 3 states, it found out it is that which is temporarily appearing like this. The entire sequence of Vedanta is that. So in the 5 koshas, the deep sleep state is called Anandamaya kosha. It means, can we be in deep sleep state permanently, sir? You have no choice. You will wake up. Even if you want to be there, you cannot be there. You will wake up. Why? The pressure of vasanas will wake you up. Vasanas will come up. When vasanas manifest, you wake up. It is not that you wake up and then vasanas come. Vasana starts manifesting, you wake up. And when you wake up, either you wake up as the waker or you wake up as the dreamer. In the waking state, one individuality. In the dream state, another individuality. And you keep oscillating between these 3 states. What are the 3 states? The waking, the dream, the deep sleep. The conditioned state, you cannot conceptualize, you cannot understand the magnitude of the reality. Why you cannot conceptualize, visualize? We have seen that already. That's how we started. Why? You want to see it through the instrument. You want to understand it through the instruments. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Upanishads. Where the words fail to reach, where the mind cannot reach. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Mind also cannot reach there. Words also cannot reach there. And if you try to reach it through the mind and the words, you can never get there. It means what? Dissolve the mind. Dissolve the mind. Get rid of the mind. And how do you get rid of it? Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. That is very clear. Verse number 3, chapter 3. The karma, the bhakti, the jnanam. So what do? You do a lot of karma bhakti, gain and maturity. And that maturity will bring you intellectual clarity. With that clarity, you penetrate, you understand. What do you understand? Water came out of water and went back into water. Water came out of water, and water comes out of water. It has to exist as water. Water comes out of water, exists as water, and merges back into dissolving the personality, dissolving the individuality, is recognizing the reality. Dissolve it. And what is the way to dissolve? There are so many ways we saw already. There are so many ways we saw how we can dissolve it. One way is play your roles. One way is karma bhakti jnana. Don't ask how to get rid of, how to dissolve the personality. No, don't ask, because we have already seen the various methodology of doing it. Objectivity is one way. Sakshi bhava is another way. There are ways. By all these methods, what is called as the integrated path of action, devotion, and knowledge helps you to eliminate. Helps you to eliminate. And when it is eliminated, the reality remains. It's not that karma bhakti jnanam produces the reality. Reality is not the product of karma bhakti jnanam. Karma bhakti jnanam is the cause, Brahman is the effect. Don't bring that cause and effect relationship here. Through karma bhakti jnanam, the covering is removed. The light which is there already reveals itself. The light which is there already reveals itself. Atma Bodha, lamp. There is the light, and that light is covered by a pot. Because of the pot, light seems not to be there at all. And the person is asking, where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Remove the pot. No, 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 no. First, to prove there is light, then I will remove the pot. The person is asking, where is the light? You say that pot is covering. How do I know the pot is covering? Only if you remove it. No, no, no. First, to prove that there is light inside, then I will remove. You cannot do it that way. All that you got to do is, in order to see the light, remove the covering. And what is that covering? That ignorance is that covering. And that ignorance is because of what? Ignorance is because you believe you are apurnam. What is ignorance? Ignorance is a deep-rooted conviction that you are apurnam. And something you have to get. You need something is ignorance. I want something. I need something. That is apurnam. You need something. You want something. For what? So that you feel fulfilled. You needing something, you wanting something to feel full is ignorance. What are you? What is that? Because you and reality are one and the same. What are you? Purnam. Another word for Purnam is Prajnanam. Another word for Purnam is Prajnanam, consciousness. Sanskrit, we use the word Purnam, Brahman, Atman, Prajnanam, all referring to God. These are the technical words. Since those technical words are a bit difficult, then we give other words. What are the other words? Satchitananda. Satchitananda. What are all the indicative definitions? What are the other words of Brahman? Because the original is not understood. Ekam, Achintyam, Avyaktam, Advayam, all pervading. All these are Sukshma Tat, Sukshmataram. All these are elaboratory words to that. What is that? Prajnanam, Brahman, Atman, Purnam. These three states are the three quarters. Om. The three states of consciousness arises from the pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness is symbolized by Om. That Om is split into three. The Sanskrit word Om, actually it is wrong to call it a Sanskrit word. Natural sound it is. Actually, you can't even call it as a Sanskrit word. It's a natural sound. A, U, These are natural sounds. We can say Sanskrit made best use of it, we can say that. But you can't say Om is Sanskrit. Because anybody can make these sounds. A, U, And when that A, U, combines, becomes Om. Om. So that one sound is split into the three. Similarly, that one consciousness has become this three. That's how the Upanishad says. That one Om has become these three states. What are the three states? A refers to the waking state. U refers to the dream state. Refers to the deep sleep. And it is continuous. A, U, A, U, A, U, Say that, don't say it now. When you are alone, where nobody is watching you, where you will not feel shy. Say A, U, A, U, It will, and then first say slowly and then combine it. Aum, 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 and then it will become Om. That one, from one came the three. What is the three? Om ite aksharam Brahma. That Om is referred as Brahman. From that Om Brahman came the three. A, U, Im. And what is that A, U, Im? Waking, dream, deep sleep. As an Upanishad. From that it came. So even when it is existing as three, they are not three. It is the one that is appearing as the three. How do we say that? That's why we studied Atma Bodha, where it is easy. The pot can escape the potter. The pot can escape the wheel. The pot can escape everything else. What the pot cannot escape from? Clay. That's all. The pot cannot tell the clay, give me a break. Why? Because pot is clay. Similarly, we can get away with the body. We can get away with the mind. We can get away with the intellect. But what we cannot get away from? We cannot get away from our own self. And what is that our own self? Purnam. What is that your own self? Purnam. At least when we conclude Thesis on God, we will talk little bit classic Upanishadic Vedanta. Yeah. And then from next week, I don't know what text we will take. We will go back to our normal stories. Beautiful is this classic Vedanta. That pot can get freedom from the potter. The pot can become free from the wheel. The pot can become free from the pole. Even though the potter, the wheel, the pole, all contributed to the pot, and the pot can be free of all this. But what the pot cannot be free from the clay. Why? Because there are no two things as clay and pot. There is only one thing. What? Clay. There is only one thing, clay. The pot is the temporary form of clay. Are you able to follow? The ornament is the temporary form of gold. The pot is the temporary form of clay. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is to misunderstand the temporary form as permanent. Reality that persists. அவ்வளவுதான். இப்போ 7:45 சொல்லியிருந்தேன்னா we would have gone for breakfast by now. No. Why do I have to say that at 9 o'clock? Are you able to follow? The reality that persists. What is the reality that persists? The consciousness. The pot is clay. Correct? Then why do we call it as pot? Because the senses are giving it a name of Nama Rupa and calling it as a pot. In reality, it is only clay. So the Nama Rupa form are given by the instruments. The reality is beyond that. The reality is beyond that. Again, that's why this clay pot example is very, very useful. Why do we call it as pot? Why don't we call it as clay? Because pot means a specific form. There can be a clay pot, there can be a clay glass, there can be a clay. So many things are there in the clay now. No. Summertime means clay becomes more valuable. I don't know. Why you don't call it as clay? And why do you call it as pot? Clay pot, clay tumbler, clay plate, clay spoon, all can come out of clay, no? A pot has a different function, the plate has a different function, the tumbler has a different function, the cutlery, crockery, from all can be made out of clay, all has different functions. When you look at the functionality, you get carried away by that and you give it a reality. Reality means you think it is permanent. Reality means you think it is independent. Vedanta as an independent pramanam comes and says, as you are using the tumbler, as you are using the plate, as you are using the pot, as you are using the spoon, understand? Understand, all are clay. It is the clay is the reality that persists. No, don't say Brahman is clay. Eh? Yeah, no, don't say Brahman is clay. That one formless can accommodate all forms. That one clay, one formless clay can accommodate all forms. If clay had an original form, it will be only that. It cannot accommodate any other form. It means the formless one can accommodate all forms. It means it can exist in all forms. It can exist in its own original glory, not dependent upon any form. It can exist in its original glory without depending on any form. It is the title, reality that persists. With this, we conclude the text, Thesis on God. Next week, we'll try to capture the summary of the entire book. In one session, we'll try to capture the summary of the entire book, and then we'll move on to the next text. And whatever Venkat decides, we will do that. Now, he only decides. And whatever Venkat decides, we will follow the text. We conclude for today.